Hey guys, how are you? Happy day. Welcome, welcome. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Deborah. This is Purusha Intuitive. And we're going to look at just the current energy, right? What's going on? Happy New Year, everyone. It is the Chinese New Year today. We're entering the year of the rabbit, which is pretty dope because it's giving us a lot of like action and momentum to move forward, especially with the foundation that we laid back in 2022. It wasn't the easiest year. There was a lot of tension and restriction around what we're growing and building. I feel like there were certain things that popped up for all of us that had to be looked at. Triggerings, woundings, places that we needed a little bit more refinement so that we can be successful this year in our endeavors. Rabbit energy is feminine, it's yin energy. Also, this year is associated with water. So that's really cool because that really heightens our intuition, our feeling, our knowing. So I feel like a lot of opportunities are going to be coming in this year, but we also have to be wise enough to know which ones to put our time and energy to. Sometimes that's a learning lesson, right? Like sometimes we have to see if something really fits for us. If we can sense intuitively that it's not matched with our energy, then definitely it's like gonna serve you better if you just say no thank you, in a nice way. And then really kind of trust that universe, spirit, God, however you understand it, is gonna bring you exactly what you want and need, yeah. Because there's a lot of change still happening. Death to a star. If you guys are familiar with astronomy, it's really interesting the stages that stars go through, right? And right before they're about to burn out, they actually become their hottest and most potent. I look at this as that kind of assimilation with the phoenix energy, death and rebirth, like that fire consuming all the stuff that doesn't serve us, right? But really so that we can have a rebirth. And actually, that is exactly what happens with stars, right? They actually, if they end up exploding, they form other stars or link up with other stars. And so it's a continual cycle in a lot of ways. Change is scary, especially when it's super monumental. Okay, so with that Cancer energy, I apologize for the glare. It's giving us this opportunity to look at it from the perspective. So Cancer rules the fourth house. The fourth house is our home, our intimate relationships in terms of like family, like close loved ones, etc. The way that we feel nurtured and supported. It's a feminine energy as well. And so a lot of times when Cancer energy presents itself, we really have to tune in, again, not to be overly redundant, but we have to tune in to what supports us. I think I've been learning a lot around this personally lately where people can say and, show up in a certain way, like say like, hey, this is who I am. This is what, this is how this is going to go, right? Giving them hypothetical. But really, it's what the truth is their actions and how things end up playing out. And that's what we have to look at, right? Like people can, present in one way, but just as this shows us, there's always the good and the bad, and I'm not trying to be so rigid with that. I think most of life is gray. Obviously, most people don't specifically sit behind the scenes and trying to like connive ways to manipulate and control. Usually a lot of those things are from a subconscious wounding, family wounding, what we kind of bring into this world from our ancestral lineage, etc. So it's not, I think that that's almost why that like judgment of right and wrong never really works, because so much of life is gray. But with that being taken into account, you know, that's where, okay, so it's like, it's really putting in the work. You know, I think what I'm hearing for this is it's like, yeah, we can, again, we can have these fantasies and desires with how something's gonna go. But as soon as we see that it's not really working out in that way, it doesn't mean that we cut it off per se. Maybe that's indicative of that situation, but maybe it just needs that, you know, we need to look at what our other options are or how we can creatively work with the situation at hand. But it all stems back to that energy of really like tuning within. If something is supportive of you, your physiology, your emotional, spiritual, physical well-being, then it is a good thing for you, right? That's why wellness is so important, not to be like a, you know, because I know we all have our own different levels of. I am a person who just really gravitates towards natural wellness. I love the way it makes me feel. I love consistently like just refining myself and being the best version of myself. And we all do that in our own way through our own means, right? But what I'm ultimately saying is when we do take care of ourselves, right? Then things become a lot easier and they become a lot clearer. It's way more simple or simpler to tune in to what we want and we need because there is clarity. And with this Judgment card, this kind of talks about, you know, there's something that's coming into your life right now that's like, wow, I really wasn't expecting it to go that way. It's a wake-up call. It's also an awakening, like, you know, calling us to rise above the circumstances and situations, you know, like how that it's in a graveyard, but then there's those hands that are coming up from underneath. And a lot of times Judgment, to me, it can be a very, like, it's an eye-opener, you know, where it's like, actually, like, this is the reality of the situation, and you got to figure out whether it's worth it to push through, or you actually just need to take that step back, right? And I love this energy for you because it's basically talking about you really taking more of a diplomatic stance. So Queen of Swords energy is very analytical. You know, it is looking at things through that lens of like, you know, right, wrong. What is working, what is not, and from a practical standpoint. But what I love about this Queen of Swords, excuse me, is like, you know, she's in touch with her third eye. So you know, we have to make practical decisions for ourselves, 100%. You know, we can't live too much up in the ethers and the fantasy of what we want something to be. But there's also this value of like when we're tuned in to, you know, maybe more of that spiritual part of ourselves, our consciousness, our innate being, we know what the best execution is to take. Because sometimes, okay, Queen of Wands, sometimes, you know, the practical, like being too practical can be counterintuitive as well, right? I think that modern day, you know, we're just, you know, in life in general, we're kind of trained to look at things more through that lens of what's actually manifesting physically, what's happening in your physical world. This is a lot about, you know, dealing with someone who, you know, I feel like this dude, you know, whatever this this King of Wands energy is, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, they feel bound, you know, restricted. And it's, to me, it's like, I think that looking at this situation through the eyes of the Queen of Swords, like I said, kind of just, I don't know, because, you know, she doesn't really give the benefit of the doubt. This is where I would say, like, if you've been down this road with this person before, really, like, take a step back and take time to think about it. Because more than likely, you know, I don't know if I mentioned this in another video, but like my son, who's 4 years old, he said like the most profound thing to me the other day. I was just milling over in my mind what that concept of truth is. And so I just asked him, I was like, hey, you know, what does truth mean to you? And he basically, you know, in his 4-year-old way, he told me this story. Like, truth is, this person he had interact with was not letting him speak, not letting him, giving him a hard time. And then, and he told me the story, and I'm like, okay, well, how does that relate to truth? And he was like, well, truth is, next time, you know, I see this person, he's gonna do the same thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I wish I knew that at 4 years old, right? And it's not to throw shade at people, you know, because I think there is that measure of, you know, like I said, not everyone has the worst intent. People are not out to get us per se. We're all just kind of like navigating our own trauma, our own woundings, and figuring out how to deal with this like messy life, right? So that's like the grace component. But again, if someone is showing you, this is how I am, this is how I handle and manage things, it's like, okay, so I know that that's what I should expect next time I have that interaction with them. Or if I try to, you know, whatever it is that you might be doing. It can be family, friend relationship, it can be business, it can be love, you know, exactly. Like we tend to fantasize, idealize, put expectation on relationships, right? And that's usually about fulfilling certain needs within us. You are definitely coming to the table in a place that you want to work on it, work together, find a way to find harmony and balance, that there is value all across the board. But there's something popping up that is making it really hard to do that. And I feel like you're struggling to find that harmony because it, you know, the way that this King of Wands feels restricted, feels limited. I feel like whatever happened between you two, it was not very fair on your side. You know, maybe like you ended up taking the bigger hit is what I'm hearing. And perhaps unbeknownst to this dude, right? So 3 of Wands just fell out, another 3. We got 3, 2, 3. So 3 of Wands is this element of just kind of waiting it out. This goes back to what I was saying, you know, taking that time to really plug in with your intuition. I was going to pull this card too. I forgot. Oh yeah. This is actually going to help you manifest, like be in a stronger position to manifest, to position yourself in the right space in order to get what you want. Do I feel like you are, yeah. And actually this is going to be more heart honoring for you, which is dope, right? And usually that becomes the silver lining of these more challenging experiences in life. You know, when things are changing 110%, and it is a little bit of a wake-up call of like, oh, you know, like I kind of missed the boat on that one, which is life, you know, but I feel like you see it for what it is. I think there's also this element of don't get it twisted. Really, like, to me, again, Queen of Swords energy means for you, really just take the emotion out of it. Because when this comes back around, this person might be trying to come after you or like speak to you on that emotional level. Like getting you to understand, getting you to kind of feel sorry for them, you know, maybe they throw out this element of false support. Like I said, they're functioning from this space of feeling restricted, feeling limited, but also wanting to control every piece of it, you know? And, okay. And I feel like they like what you have to offer. You know, it's interesting how these things often play out, right? Because I feel like there is a good synergy between you and this situation, or there was at one point, maybe when it initially started. maybe you could sense that it was a good connection that would like offer you both a lot of benefit. But I feel like at the same time, you know, they're trying, like, to me, it's like this person's trying to figure out their options. They might not be choosing the ones that are of the best, right? Because 7 of Cups is a lot of, like, some of the cups are filled with good, positive, life-honoring things. Some are the things that, like, tempt us, you know, quick fixes, Band-Aid type energy, right? And let's see what they want with you guys. Okay. So it's, you know, honestly, they are, in my opinion, or how I see it, is like they're trying to get out of you. They're trying to get more out of you than what they want to put into the relationship. So be really mindful of that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially with this insight and enlightenment card, this always pops up, like I said, when we have to see like the good and the bad. And that's in everything, right? There's the light and the shadow. We're comprised of the yin and the yang, right? And so no matter who, what we, you know, we come into contact with, there's always going to be the positive, and there's always going to be the things that are like challenges and stuff we have to navigate through. And honestly, you consistently dumping your time and your energy into this situation with little reciprocity, it's the same thing over and over and over again, right? And you know that. I think you can feel that 100%. I feel like you might be trying to tell yourself that it's not that way. But honestly, whatever this judgment was for you, whatever that wake-up call was for you, it's helping push you forward. Because honestly, I feel like working with them, yeah, dude, that's so powerful. Working, like spending energy, fueling energy into this, it has been taking away from your empowerment, the Chariot, and 9 of Cups wish fulfillment. I mean, that's so dope, right? Like you have that. It's in your grasp. It's in your hands. This is like giving me goosebumps. This is like having it all, right? It's abundance. It's, you know, like financial support, partnership, relationship. It's like having it all. This is like, in my opinion, this is like the quintessential, like embodiment of a good life, right? Because you have someone that is stable, grounded, you know, both financially, within their life, with what they're doing. This is exactly what you want, what you hope, what you desire. And it's also allowing you to empower yourself in a stronger way than what this situation is giving you. Because honestly, this situation is actually like forcing you to shift the way you look at your abundance, what you're drawing in. This energy is all about leaving behind what doesn't serve you, you know? And sometimes that's super hard to do, especially when we do vibe with other people, when we like them as individuals, or we hope things are going to work out in a certain way. I'm gonna put these back in. If these pop back out, we'll see, but it can be, you know, I mean, it takes a lot of courage to acknowledge something for what it is, you know, especially when feeling emotion is involved. That's that card of learning, wisdom. And that's what life is, right? We go through these experiences in order to gain that wisdom and understanding and hopefully work with it in a smarter way. Yeah. Because there is abundance and you have to figure out what and where you're plugging into. What is actually helping that garden grow. Sorry, I know that's so cheesy, but it's true. Connecting with, you know, I mean, I feel like, you know, that's like having that heart exchange. But to me, this is very, I hate using that phrase, but so what I want to say is twin flame. I understand that has like a lot of connotation around it. When I'm talking about twin flame, it's just like someone that you really connect with on a very, very deep and synergistic level, right? And something that is a little bit more heart honoring. But I do not believe, and I want to make this very clear, that you need that other person to complete you, you know? And I don't feel like twin flame, there we go, that wisdom. I don't feel like twin flame relationship is always romantic in nature, you know? I think it's what our souls decide before we come here with those individuals. And, you know, I feel like for you, this is... we almost have to recognize this for what it is. You know, like I said, you have a synergistic connection with this thing you've been dealing with. But I think wisdom has shown you over and over and over again that they're more focused on what they have going on, what their abundance is. And it doesn't really involve you, you know, and that's not good, bad, right, or wrong. Yeah, it might feel like a personal shaft or whatever. But at the same time, it's also giving you the freedom to pursue like what you want, right? 110%. So guys, I hope this reading helped. Thank you so much for tuning in. I super appreciate you. I do personal readings. If you're interested, hit me up. I would love to support in whatever way possible. Otherwise, check out other videos, leave comments below. I love connecting with everyone. All right, lots of love and blessings. Thanks for tuning in.